In June of 2019, Disney and Star Wars fans alike were thrilled to see the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Since then, it's had millions of visitors come see the world of Batuu. As the years went on, you often saw some critiques and some thoughts saying that it's not people's favorite land. However, I really think those people don't see the ton of work that the Imagineers put into this amazing land, the detail, everything that you can do. It's not just 2 rides, a couple restaurants, and a place to build a lightsaber. It's a fully immersive world that you could spend literal days in and not do the same thing twice. It's full of Easter eggs, it's full of secrets, and today, we're discovering as many as we can. The first point is one of controversy. Batuu was not anywhere in the movies, books, comics, anything that was canon. It was not there. Why? Because Batuu was created as a new destination in the Star Wars universe. Now, some people didn't like that Disney created their own land and made it canon, but I say to those people, the amount of detail that is in this land, all the effort they went to, I think makes the land fit into the universe. Why? Because they didn't just make a land, they actually made a comic book series and full novels about Batuu. And say what you will about the sequels and whether you like them or not, if you go to this land, it will make the sequels look a whole lot better. That's a hot take, that's just my opinion. Starting with the obvious, but the smaller points of the obvious, we have things like the Millennium Falcon, which is home to one of the 2 rides in this beautiful land, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Looking at this full-scale replica of what the Millennium Falcon looked like is worth the trip to Disney World or Disneyland in itself. Nowhere else in the world are you gonna find a full-size replica of the Millennium Falcon. Even for the films, they only built partial areas of the Millennium Falcon, but they just used computer-generated models of the Millennium Falcon. So you're seeing more of the real life than even Han Solo did. Even the details. You can even see a little tiny replica of the Millennium Falcon hanging upside down on the replica of the Millennium Falcon. And when you're in that queue for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, you'll see some porg nests. Again, from the sequels. But remember, in the sequels, if you've watched them, you'll see that the porgs, they're everywhere in the Millennium Falcon. Tearing apart wires, making a mess, and making nests. And they added those details in the queue of Smuggler's Run. You'll see porg nests in a couple different places as you walk through that queue. Then when you're inside the Millennium Falcon itself, you'll continue to see those porg nests inside everywhere. And there's even more that we're not talking about, tiny little things. You can actually be taken to a location where Han and Leia had their very first kiss from episode 5, where Leia's trying to fix something in the ship and Han comes over and they have an argument and they end up kissing. Little small moments like that blow your mind that you can see that in real life. Also, the other thing about when you go on Millennium Falcon is that pay attention to when you're actually on the ride. If you go ride that ride during the day, when you take off, it's going to be daytime. But if it's nighttime, when you take off, it's going to be night. The cast members completely remembered every little detail to make you as immersed as possible. To not think about the fact that you're in Florida, you are truly on the planet of Batuu. The other obvious thing is Rise of Resistance. The main reason why people even step foot into Galaxy's Edge, people that don't even like Star Wars. I hear so many times guests saying, I don't even know a thing about Star Wars, but Rise of Resistance was one of the best rides I've ever been on. And it's true, it is an amazing ride. But what people are missing is every single little detail that they put into the queue. They put into the whole attraction. Pilot suits, different types of weapons galore, and down to even the cast members, you can see the rank that they hold within the First Order. Most people won't notice that, but if you look, it's there. Not to spoil the ride, that's all I'm gonna tell you. Go ride it. Speaking of cast members though, they are one of my favorite parts of Batuu because they stay true to their name, cast members. They are truly part of the cast of this whole entire world. Down to the person that you order food from, they will stay in character. And I just want to say we love cast members, no matter what land you work in. But if you are a Galaxy's Edge cast member, bravo to you, because you truly are the heart of why so many people will fall in love with this land, because you are that special. No matter what your role is, obviously some roles are more important to bigger elements of storytelling, like the First Order officers on the Rise of Resistance, or the beautiful guy that helps you to build the lightsaber. We'll get to that soon. All these people stay in character, whether it's the cast member playing Kylo Ren or the person you buy beautiful merchandise from, like this deck of Sabacc cards. These people are truly passionate about their jobs. The only other obvious thing I would say is slow down. Guys, when you are in this world, even if you are one of those people that's in there to ride the 2 rides, maybe try something to eat, maybe not, and you move on into Toy Story Land or any other amazing land that Hollywood Studios has to offer, or Disneyland, just slow down. Look at the details. Look at the markings on the floor, blaster marks on the wall, places where fights have happened. Everywhere there is little small details like this that you can get immersed and think what happened in the spot. Use your own imagination. Think up a story. Utilize the Play Disney app. So many people don't even know this app exists, or they download it and forget about it and your phone will remove it from your device. Or so many people don't utilize this, but if you open the Play Disney app, you'll have access to the data pad. And guys, this is the key to having an even more amazing time in Galaxy's Edge. There's so many features on this that you could spend all day on this app hacking, translating, doing all of these amazing things. And not only that, but there's games you can play. Choose a side. Are you with the Resistance? Are you with the First Order? It tells a story in itself and it connects to the world. Things happen when you do things in the app. You want to spend time on the app. I know spending time on your phone, but if you do this as a group, as a family, if you get super into it, you're gonna want to slow down. You're gonna want to hack some things, translate different signs. Trust me, it is so incredible. Just take my word for it. You're gonna want to spend time. If you're a huge Star Wars nerd, this alone you need to do. It's pretty cool watching the faces of people that are just sitting there waiting for their family, doing something. They sit there and you hack a point, whether it be a ship or a droid or whatever, and it freaks them out. They say, oh, did I do that? No, you didn't do it. I listened to Cal's video and I used my data pad. You don't expect it to work almost. You're like, okay, I'm gonna play this silly little game. And then all of a sudden, things are going off. Now we come to shopping. And shopping in Galaxy's Edge, you could spend a whole day doing, and your wallet will hate you. My recommendation, there's gonna be so many options, but get something functional, something that you're not just going to grab and say, wow, that looks really cool, I never use it again. My recommendation, and it won't break the bank too much, is a deck of Sabacc cards and some chance dice. It comes with instructions, but my recommendation, if you have the time, is go learn how to play from the cast members themselves. In fact, as you're walking through the marketplace where you can buy this deck of Sabacc, you look to your right, across the way from where you've bought this deck of Sabacc, you can see a cast member sat down at a table, and all they do is teach you how to play Sabacc. Another beautiful Easter egg of the marketplace is the huge obelisk that unfortunately nobody sees and knows how important it is to Galaxy's Edge and the lore of it. Most people think it's a spot to sit down, which in their own right, it is a spot to sit down. But the obelisk itself, if you believe in such things, is told to bring you good luck when you touch it and say, to the spire. Whether it's true or not, kind of adds to the lore of this land. Again, just making you feel more immersed. But really, you're going to want to look at every single shop in the marketplace. And remember to look up, because each of these marketplace shops have unique details on the ceiling. Who thinks to look up? Look up. Oh, and I completely forgot to mention that when you're in the marketplace, look for the loaf cat. I'm not going to tell you where it is, but when you find it, you'll be happy with yourself. It's most of the time it's sleeping. In fact, I think it's always sleeping. I can't remember now, but you'll see footage of it right now. I love loaf cats, and to see one in real life, that's awesome. Continuing our shopping journey, you have Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. And again, we're just bringing more Easter eggs, more lore, even to the outside. You'll notice different structures and things. And some of these actually Dok-Ondar himself brought from his home planet for different personal reasons. And that's all just part of the lore of Dok-Ondar. Dok-Ondar is one of these guys, and you'll get to see him, a real life version of him when you go inside his shop, is one of these guys that when you read the lore, when you read the comics, he is Batuu. He is Black Spire Outpost. In fact, did you even know that Han Solo and Chewbacca even worked for him, bringing an adolescent version of a Sarlacc, you know, that huge thing that ate Boba Fett, but not really because he escaped, you know, that whole thing. There are adolescent versions of that. I never would have thought about that, but it's there. Go and look for it. And not only that, there's the more obvious things that people see all the time, like all kinds of taxidermy creatures that are very recognizable from the movies. You know what I'm talking about. Or Mandalorian helmet, golden head of Jar Jar Binks. Crazy stuff, but it's all in Dok-Ondar's. Most people know about it, but I bet you didn't know about the Sarlacc. And if you did, let me know. In fact, you can even take home a miniature version for yourself. But your shopping journey does not end there. But what follows is more unique. And these are the main two things, besides the rides, people want to do. Build a lightsaber and build a droid. But don't just build a lightsaber. In fact, you're going to want to buy these things with a Batuu Inspira credit medallion. Now these cost $5, and it's a minimum spend of $100 on these cards, because pretty much what they are is a gift card. It's a Disney gift card that you can only spend in Galaxy's Edge. If you're going to buy things anyways, if you're going to build a lightsaber, if you're going to build a droid, it's $5. It's a $5 souvenir, and you pay for it, and then you get to keep this awesome credit. What are you waiting for? Next time you go buy something in Galaxy's Edge, get one of these first. That brings us to the experiences themselves. Let me tell you, building a lightsaber, it's expensive. I'm not going to steer you astray and say you absolutely, for certainty, should go build a lightsaber. If you are a true Star Wars fan, a nerd, and you grew up watching the movies, they're part of my childhood. I've loved them. For me, it was a must to build a lightsaber. But building a lightsaber is something special. Most people at this point will probably say, probably not get it. The ones that know, they know. The people that for years they dreamed of having a realistic lightsaber, or as close as you can get to the real thing. And trust me, for the most part, Disney's are pretty real, especially the hilts themselves. They feel so real in your hands, pretty much as close as you're gonna get. And not only that, you're building the parts. It's not just some rinky-dink thing where you put a couple things together. You are picking out that kyber crystal. You put it inside your lightsaber. You hear the noise that it makes when you put it in right. You put in all the... I'm not gonna spoil it. I almost cried during this experience because Star Wars is my childhood. If I could tell my 8-year-old self that just wait and you're gonna build that lightsaber that you've always wanted, to me it's 100% worth the price. So if you were one of those children, grown up, but still trying to live out your childhood dreams, go do it. That in itself is an immersive story. It's not just you go in and they give you the parts. They tell a story. You're inside of Batuu. You're hiding from the First Order. You're part of the Resistance, becoming trained Jedi. Something that the First Order does not want. And in fact, after you build your lightsaber, go interact with some stormtroopers, because it's pretty hilarious. Go interact with Kylo Ren if you see him. Those moments are priceless. And that brings us to building a droid. While this is a heck of a lot cheaper, it's not as much of an experience. Building a droid is more what you get after the fact. If you are going to use your droid and play with it, yes, we're adults, we play with droids. They're cool. And in fact, while you're in the park, your droid, you leave him on, he's gonna interact with all the other people that have built droids. It's the coolest thing ever. And when you bring him home, it doesn't end there, because you can download the Droid Depot app. You can make your droid dance. You can play tic-tac-toe with your droid. It's incredible. Definitely, it's worth the money. It's not too expensive if you don't buy a personality chip. If you do, it does rack up that price a little bit. And definitely, if you have the money to, if you're building the droid already, it's worth buying the bag that you can hold. That way you're not getting this clunky box that you have to hold all day. Unless you're just gonna ship it back home, which is an option. But if you're gonna carry it in the parks, just buy the bag, it's worth it. there isn't just big stuff to mention. There's little tiny Easter eggs everywhere you can look. In fact, I guarantee we're missing some. But if you look around, the more you will find. Just to name a few, the most common one that you will see is if you look at the cargo containers above Docking Bay 7, one of the 2 restaurants you can eat at, you will see 3 numbers, 77, 80, and 83. If you don't know, those are the years that the first trilogy came out. Not to mention the number on all the trash cans is the same exact number of trash compactor that Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie got stuck in A New Hope when they had to go down the garbage chute to avoid getting captured by the Empire. Most people don't see it, but now you know it, and now you will never unsee it. Even on the exit for Smuggler's Run, you will notice if you turn around as you're exiting and going outside again, where you exit is actually a tunnel. And if you notice, the ones beside it are actually closed off because it's a fan. But the one you exit out of, the huge giant grate that blocks you from entering or exiting, is moved to the side. So you've actually exited out through some kind of tunnel or vent or fan thing. But I just recently noticed this as many times as we've been on Smuggler's Run. Nobody sees this. Even if you're staring at it in plain sight, you have to be looking for it. Guys, the droids. These are the droids you are looking for. Sorry for the bad pun. But really, everywhere you look, there's gonna be droids. And in fact, in Disneyland, they actually were testing 3 roaming droids, of course, with a cast member. We actually got to experience this, R2-D2 rolling around. It was incredible. He came right up to us. But there's droids everywhere, and you can hack them. You can interact with them. You can make them do all kinds of things. The details, the Easter eggs of droids. Of course, Batuu is a place that's been there for many years. That's part of the lore, right? The time period that you're supposed to be walking into Batuu in is obviously during the fight between the Resistance and the First Order. That's kind of the relative period. There's Easter eggs. Now, okay, so you're walking past the blue milk stands in the Disney World version. You're walking past the milk stands, there's the 2 bathrooms, and on the other side, there's kind of a chilling area. On that wall, you're going to get Clone War battle droids that are all rusted. They're torn apart, they're worn, they're on the wall. You got probe droids, you got all kinds of droids. In fact, some droid heads have been turned into lights that now serve a function instead of just these defunct droids. The list goes on with all the Easter eggs you can find. Speaking of droids though, that brings us on to our dining locations. And we're starting off with the #1 location everybody wants to go into, Oga's Cantina. Say what you will about this bar, but part of what you have to realize and come prepared for is the fact that Oga's Cantina is going to be busy. And it's just as it was in the movies. When you look in episode 4, it's obviously not replica of Oga's Cantina. You get elements, you get that same feeling walking in as you would see in the movies of Han Solo bartering for his life, Obi-Wan and Luke walking in and the droids getting kicked out saying we don't serve their kind there. All of those things follow, and the cast members play their role very well. In fact, the cast members are the main reason you should even go into Oga's Cantina. But droids, Rex. DJ Rex is an Easter egg. Most people know about it by now. It would be a shame for me to do a whole entire video about Disney's Galaxy's Edge without talking about DJ Rex. Because DJ Rex was fired from his job. He wasn't always an amazing DJ. DJ Rex was actually the pilot on Star Tours before they revamped it and made C-3PO the pilot. It's an awesome Easter egg. If you've been going to Disney for years, you probably recognized it right away. Where did Rex go? Well, here he is. He's now a DJ. I love this. I remember going on Star Tours, the original ride, with my parents as a kid, and I remember vividly Rex being the pilot. And then when we went back, Star Tours was one of the first things we did before we even walked in Galaxy's Edge. And I was like, where was Rex? Where's Rex? He's a DJ. It's awesome. He goes through this cycle, and then he short circuits himself and he breaks down, and then he comes back to life. Awesome Easter eggs. Speaking of Easter eggs, inside of Oga's Cantina, you will see blaster marks where fights have gone off. It's cool. Again, that carries itself throughout the whole land. Moving on to your 2 other main food options, you're gonna have Docking Bay 7, already mentioned because of the amazing numbers above, but our favorite spot, And our absolutely favorite thing to do in Galaxy's Edge is Ronto Roasters. You go to Ronto Roasters in the morning, everybody's rushing to Millennium Falcon, rushing to Rise of the Resistance, trying to get as much possible done in your day. What are we doing? We're usually walking through Galaxy's Edge, looking for Easter eggs, and eating a breakfast Ronto wrap, which is probably my favorite breakfast item inside of Hollywood Studios, if not inside of all of Disney World. Perfect combination of flavors. It's amazing. It's better than the one you can get at lunch or dinner. Trust me on that. Do not skip the breakfast Ronto wrap. And even in Ronto Roasters, you're going to see Easter eggs. You're going to see little hidden points, more droids, everywhere you look. Have I said it enough at this point? Don't stop looking. Don't close your eyes because you will miss something. Something else that most people are not going to notice is the land itself. And I know we've talked about all the little hidden details, the blaster marks, the droid marks, the footprints, and blah, all the stuff. But the land itself, the tall rock spires that surround Batuu are designed to look like giant petrified or fossilized trees. In fact, the Black Spire Outpost, or the land that you're in, gets its name from the 135-foot tall petrified spires of once were giant trees, which one happens to be black. Hence the name Black Spire Outpost. And apparently from a resource I can't remember the name of, but we will definitely give credit to them on the screen right now, these petrified tree spires are actually inspired by a real petrified tree forest that you can find in Arizona, which I think is amazing. I'm just going by the resource that I found. But if that's true, kudos to the Imagineers for thinking outside the box. I mean, who would have thought about that? I certainly didn't. While you're in Galaxy's Edge, you definitely don't want to miss all the ships around. So many people just walk by, again, looking for the rides. They see Millennium Falcon, but there's so many ships besides that. Take a look around. You can hack some of the ships even, as close as you'll ever see to the real thing, I'm sure. Let me tell you, you are missing out if you're not going to Galaxy's Edge at night. It's a whole completely different ballpark. It's incredible. If you bought a lightsaber, make sure you bring it back into the land. Best feeling ever. It's obviously gonna show its true glow. In the Florida sun in the middle of the day, it's not that impressive, but when you turn it on at night, a whole different thing. Also, take advantage of characters. It's gonna take time unless you are fortunate to see all the characters. Sometimes you just hit the timing right and you got all the characters walking around. Of course, in Walt Disney World, there actually isn't as many characters. You're gonna get Kylo Ren, you're gonna get the Stormtroopers, you'll get Rey, Chewbacca at times, the Resistance fighter, who actually has a whole novel about her. Go read that. And you'll also, a fairly new addition is going to be Mando and Grogu. Now, the rest of those characters you'll see in various parts of the park. It'll be a little bit easier to spot, but Mando especially is going to be a little tricky. My best recommendation, spend lots of time near the entrance to the marketplace. And not the marketplace on the side of Ronto Roasters, but on the other side, more towards if you're coming from Rise of Resistance. He's going to be in that general area. There's going to be a crowd around him. If you see a crowd near the entrance of the marketplace, that's probably because Mando's there. And remember, there is no schedule for any of the Star Wars characters. They come as they please. I think that is the coolest part because it is harder to plan your day, and I get that can be frustrating. But again, it just adds to the lore of the land that it's not, okay, Mando's out every 15 minutes or every half hour. He's out when he wants to be out. And if you go to Disneyland, you'll see Ahsoka, you'll see Boba Fett. More amazing characters. Again, I mentioned R2-D2. R2-D2 will be out, other droids will be out. If you go to the Disneyland version, even if you've been to Walt Disney World and you go to Disneyland, you're like, I've already seen Galaxy's Edge, go to Galaxy's Edge. We loved it. I know you'll love it too. I think we're coming to the conclusion of this video. I've had a blast sharing all of the things, and I'm sure you've seen tons of things from this video. I hope this is an inspiration to your next trip for any Star Wars fans that haven't been to Galaxy's Edge or Disney World. Even if you've been before, tell me if you've done all these things, because if you have, you are the true Star Wars fan. But if you haven't, it's okay. Now you know what to do for next time. There's so many people, I've said this a million times, so many people go through this land and say, it's all right, you know, other stuff is better. But have you done everything? Have you appreciated all this land has to offer? Probably not. And if you haven't, maybe you will now. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it. If you want to see more content, subscribe. And remember to turn on the notification bell. But until then, I've been Cal, and you've been watching The Adventure Gateway.